Here.
Myers.
Here.
Roa.
Here.
Vogel.
Here.
Kinder.
Here. Pledge of allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have 2 people signed up for public comment. We're going to do, because it is not part of, it's not on the agenda, we're going to do that at the end of the meeting, okay? And then we'll move forward. Notice of executive session meeting, please.
Your Honor, an executive session was held on February 16th, 2022, prior to the meeting to discuss real estate.
Approve of minutes, February 2nd, 2022 council meeting.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Roll call.
McKnight.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Roa.
Aye.
Vogel.
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Communications?
Your Honor, there was no communication received.
Move on to the manager's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. So Victoria Soff is here. She's the chair of the city's beautification committee, and she is going to do a presentation on their annual report.
I would also like to invite Shannon Rock, who will be taking over as chairperson for beautification should council accept the slate that was provided. You do have the information that I sent in front of you, but to benefit the folks at home who are watching, I did just want to run through some of the fundraisers that council allowed us to host over the last year. We have some things that are really great from some of the local businesses that really don't require a lot of work from beautification. We have Nancy under the steps. She has a Meadville blanket that off of beautification committee, her and I co-created, and so what happens is that there's a proceed of some of those dollars that come back to the beautification committee every time those blankets are sold. You can find those blankets at the market house, at anything that is Nancy under the steps, wherever she's at, sometimes at the market house, sometimes with her own, maybe online, to be determined, but also at the Visitors Bureau. And then also the second fundraiser that we have are the 3x5 Meadville Flags that go on a pole and hang in front of your house, or the 18-inch garden flags. You can have both, you can have one or the other, and those are sold also at the Visitors Bureau, and $5 for every flag that is sold comes back in a form of a donation from the Visitors Bureau. And then the most boots on the ground fundraiser that we've had thus far was our autumn, our fall plant sale. Yeah, right. The mums. And that was in collaboration with Loeffler's, and Travis did a really great job of getting us mums, and we did pre-sales, and I did not attach on here, but I meant to, sorry. We had a little cutout of information just that this supports the beautification committee, and it had the Meadville flag on there, so those who did keep them in the planter had the option of either looking at that information on their fridge, kept it in the plant, whatever, where they wanted, so hopefully some more people knew about the beautification through that. And we are looking forward to continuing those efforts, different fundraisers, whether it be a spring summer flat of flowers sale. We did want to make sure that we stayed more focused in on what would beautify the city. Anyone could host, guest bartending or different things like that, but we really did want to focus in on what would make the city beautiful. And then we're kind of finding ourselves still. It's still fairly new, and our membership, our committee members have changed a little bit, so that's what we're working on, and Shannon has been great with getting us organized and focused with long-term and short-term goals, so that way everything that we say and we talk about when we have these fundraisers make a little bit more sense to folks, so that way they know, in addition to the Eels Trust and working hopefully with Shade Tree on getting them the physical trees so they can plant, since that's what the Eels Trust can go towards, which is only trees and shrubs in right-of-ways, which we're grateful for. These funds that we're fundraising allow us to do some more things that are easier to see and understand that we're here. So the slate is as presented. Casey Dixon, Victoria Soft, myself, Kristen Smith, Marie Rozakis, Kate Costanzo and as secretary, and Shannon Rock as chairperson. If there are any questions from council, you're always welcome to ask them now. We do have several council members who are welcome. Everybody's welcome to join the meetings, but I know we have some assigned to us, and we are always happy when they're able to join us. But I guess I'll let council have any questions for either of us.
Victoria, so all of these fundraisers, all the money goes back into the beautification, and then it goes into, what do you do with the money you raise?
So that is what we're finding out. As you guys are probably now aware, the benches that we get and the trash cans that go with the vibe that are not just aesthetically pleasing to look at with them all the same, but the ones that can withstand the weather and all of the ifs, ands, or buts that you guys have to deal with in purchasing those. Those are $1,000 each. So our really great mum sale brought in about $1,300, so that would be one bench. So that's why I haven't seen a whole slew of benches or anything, but what it does is it allows us to look at things and see, do we need 10 benches? Okay, well then that's a goal of $10,000. Whereas the Eels Trust that we have that has $70,000, it can only be for trees and shrubs in city-owned right-of-ways. No personal anything. So that we opened that up a year or two ago to allow for those extra beautiful things that once we get enough funds to really do something with, well, I'm sure we'll come to council and of course ask permission first. We won't show up with a bench. We'll ask first because it is all the discretion of council. We're just kind of an extra arm. So right now, that's my long way of saying we don't really have anything that we're purchasing yet, but it's part of our long and short-term goals to identify some attainable items that we can get with that money and then continue the fundraising so people know what they're supporting.
Okay. And then, so when we see the volunteers out there, you know, when you come into town, is that what the trust buys as flowers and stuff, or am I thinking?
So the Dearmont Park, when you come in, that is, to my knowledge, Master Gardeners.
Okay.
They've always taken care of that through their own efforts. There's no reason why we can't partner with them. We just don't really right now. And that's probably the main garden that's taken care of. But what we've been doing in conjunction with the kind of grassroots Thankful Thursday group is we've been trying to clean up some of the sidewalks and get the debris off there and some of the moss that is, you know, we try to work with Public Works to make sure we're not doing anything we're not supposed to or we're taking anything off of their plate that should stay on their plate, but really just trying to help out for those small things that are gonna mean something to somebody who's going down for First Fridays or in the summertime Second Saturdays. They might not notice when the moss isn't there, but they notice when it is there. So those are kind of the smaller things that we can do, and I think a couple council folks were there for some of those, so hopefully that continues once we get reorganized in non-snowy weather. We try to do that before the first Friday, so it's usually either the first Thursday or the last Thursday, depending on where that Friday turns.
I guess I have just one more. So with the youth trust, you said it buys bushes and trees and things like that. Did you plant any this year? I'm just because
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that's perfectly fine. We just kind of reconnected Shade Tree and beautification. There had been a connection in the past where we had purchased some trees, and that kind of just, as different people are involved in beautification, left for a little bit, now it's back. So there were some of our members that were part of the tree planting, that happened somewhat with Shade Tree, somewhat with, Lee, that tree planting that happened. We have one person that's a crossover on both beautification and Shade Tree, but they are working, Shade Tree is working on an application for beautification to review, so that way, they might need 10 trees, but we can only help them out with 5, so we want to try to pick the most meaningful 5, so that should be something that you see in this upcoming year.
Victoria, I think it was either 2021 or maybe it was 2020. I think we did beautification committee, you all did transfer funds, I think from Eels funds to Shade Tree to do some planting. Right, when Zach was, I think, didn't we do that with Zach?
I believe the conversation was started, I don't remember
Yeah.
if money actually did transfer.
Anyway,
That was,
never mind then.
yeah, that's always been the goal, and now we finally have some more communication between the two. So that can easily happen, and as long as they are making sure, they as in Shade Tree, are using it for trees, shrubs, they have to get their own dirt, their own diggers, but we can pay for the planters, the plants.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Thank you for the update and all your work.
Thank you for everything you do. Like, I was there Thursday, and it's cool to see everybody down there really getting together as a community and working towards, really
Definitely make
unifying.
sure that the committee knows, because I actually have not been to any of the Thursdays. So it is definitely a group effort, and we're excited. We did make the slate a little smaller than it has been in the last couple years. That's just so that way we can actually get things done, because we do follow the same rules that you guys do with needing a quorum to make any decisions. So people have busy schedules and always mean well, but we've shortened our list a little bit to get some more, identity. But everybody is welcome to make it. It's a community effort, and we're happy to facilitate that. So thank you for noticing and participating.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Old business?
Is there more than that?
No, that's all.
I was just, old business. Authorities, boards, and commissions. Katie?
We do still have that vacancy in the Market Authority. We're working on getting that advertised, but as Victoria stated, they did provide a slate for approval by council. So we would look for a motion to appoint that slate of individuals as listed.
I was so moved.
I'll second.
I second. Discussion? Roll call?
McKnight,
Aye.
Myers,
Aye.
Roa,
Aye.
Vogel,
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Motion for first and final reading?
Motion.
Ordinance, first and final reading, formal action constituting a debt ordinance.
Motion. I'll second.
Discussion.
Your Honor, so John McShane and Pat Healy are here in case there are any additional questions. This was covered at the last council meeting, incurring the debt to fund the city's pension fund. If you have any questions, again, they are here to answer any of those. And just as a reminder, this is first and final reading. There are no additional motions or votes on this ordinance once this is passed.
I'm just, can someone just very simply just like summarize what, just very simple, you did a very thorough presentation.
Sure.
I appreciate it, but just very simply, like, what's the opportunity in front of us?
So you have a liability on your balance sheet that you owe the pension fund. In this case, let's just use 7.5 million. And you agreed to pay the pension fund that amount of money over a period of time of about 12 years. The rate that you agreed to pay them that money is anywhere from 7.5% to 7.75%. You have to pay it, it's an obligation on your books. The opportunity is, current law allows you to take that off a direct liability and issue bonds and fund it on the bond side. The reason you would do that is only if the math works. Can you do it at a rate that's lower than the rate you're currently funding it at? And the answer is, in today's market, yes. So we're gonna fund this at, let's say, a rate of 3% over the same time period that you're currently obligated to fund it to the pension fund. They're gonna get the money today and they're gonna be fully funded. You're gonna pay the bondholders instead of paying the pension fund. The difference, the reason, the main benefit is that the differential is about $1 million back into the city coffers over that until 2034-35 period. It's roughly a 13-year period. That's the reason. Other than that, you wouldn't do it, but you're literally gonna gain into your coffers over that same time period $1 million that you didn't have to pay into the pension fund.
Thank you. Mary, staff, you think this is in our interest? This is a good thing for us to do?
Yes, we
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
We did this in 2010, and I believe at that time we might have saved about $1 million or so also. Can't remember exactly what we saved, but
Memory's not that good.
yeah.
Saving money everywhere. Who
But it's
knew?
been a positive thing,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah. I guess it's just like, right, we just borrowed a lot, right? So going
Well,
out and
this-
borrowing more.
I want you to, don't feel like this is a new debt. This is debt replacing what we were gonna have to pay through the MMO anyhow. So we're just transferring it to bonds and saving $1 million, so.
Oh, that's it? All right, thanks.
Did I do a good job that time?
I think we're.
I'm done with the slides forever.
I appreciate that. Out with the slides. I appreciate the succinct, and I appreciate the vote of confidence from staff.
Okay, discussion?
Pat, is there anything you need to add about the ordinance?
Well, no, the ordinance you're adopting tonight is similar to your typical bond ordinance that you've done in the past for new money or refundings of your existing debt. It has some extra language that refers to Act 205 in it, which the Local Government Unit Debt Act, which governs municipalities like yourself that issue debt, provides for, as John pointed out, the ability to do these financings to replace, to fund your unfunded accrued actuarial liability. I think I have that phrase right. With the taxable bonds. These are taxable, they're not tax exempt. So it provides for that, to do that. It's swapping one liability, as John said, for another. Bonds for the annual requirement to pay. The difference in interest rates he explained over 12 and a half or so many years is about $1 million less. It pledges you taxing power, full faith credit taxing power to pay off the bonds just like all your other bonds. And authorizes me to do the filing with Harrisburg DCD. We'll also send this, when the deal closes, to the Municipal Pension Board in Harrisburg, which is a requirement under the debt act. And
Well, we also used to put in there that John would call the finance committee and kind of say, today's the day we feel we're gonna go to market.
correct.
Here's the
Designated
rate, and we
officers.
kind of give them a nod or a saying, okay to do it.
the designated officers for the execution of the bond purchase agreement, which is when you lock in the interest rates and the 12 and a half year debt amortization schedule is set, authorizes Mr. Roa, as head of finance, yourself, manager, the mayor, whoever wants to chime in, but What we'll do is, at that point, John will make a call to you, the typical fashion, and you'll circle the wagons and say, yeah, it looks good, and lock it in. It's a fairly boom process, bang, bang. Yeah, that has not changed in this instance. And I can leave these signature pages with whomever, get them signed. Katie, my daughter's name, good name. To get them signed, there's two for each, pretty much. One requires notarization also. And then you can scan them and email them back to me,
Can do.
and then just put them in the regular mail after that.
Can do.
And we're good.
The final piece, I'll just say, and Pat, you're probably gonna hit on this, but this is self-liquidating, that, meaning that
Yeah.
it does not count against your borrowing limits. So that if we issue 7.4 million in bonds, it's wiped off of your debt limit because it satisfies the pension obligation.
The state calculation under the Debt Act as to how much you can borrow based on average of your past 3 years' revenues times 250% is the limit. You're fine where you are, but this does not count against it. It's pension
And John,
board.
if you could take a minute to talk about our conference call, I think it might be appropriate.
Oh, sure. You really have to appreciate what goes on behind the scenes, and what we have to ask of your administration to do a bond transaction. You see us twice before and after the bond sale, and we make things seem very easy, but if it wasn't for your administration and the work that they put in, when we prepare documentation, we have to go in front of Standard & Poor's, explain to Standard & Poor's, all the good questions that you asked tonight. Why are they doing this? Does it make sense? How do the city's finances look? Where do they view the future of the city's finances? And then they take all that information and they come up with their rating, just like a credit report if you're going to get a mortgage, except a lot more involved. We had that call 2 days ago, and we think you're going to maintain that same rating, which is phenomenal over this time period of what you've done, because I think back 15 years ago when I first started working here, the city was unrateable, uninsurable. And every year it gets better and better. So kudos to you from council, the mayor, to your administration. It really, you look for someone to judge how well you guys have done, it's in the rating. We expect that rating to come out within the next week, and we'll make sure that that's distributed to all council members and the mayor as well, so that you can see, you know, and kudos to you, what a great job you've done with finances over, you know, the last 6 months, 6 years, 10 years, so.
That also favorably affects our rate that we pay on bonds.
Again, yes, the higher that rating, the lower the bond rate. So we go out and, whatever the rating is, we'll go out and sell those bonds and get the best deal possible. But the better you can give us as a rating, the better job we can do, and that affects that ultimate net savings to you.
Now, we still do buy insurance, even though the rating is good, it makes the insurance less, but we do always buy insurance to get the best rating, obviously. That's very true?
And I think that insurance cost has been more than cut in half in the last 4 years, because they do your, and that's really, the proof is in the pudding, because that's who charges you. So when they start cutting their fees for insuring the city, you know you've done a good job. And if we went back and tracked that, you're paying some of the lowest insurance rates we've seen for cities of this size.
And that gets us a AAA rating? Is
Oh,
that-
you wish. No,
They're gone.
no one's rated no one's rated AAA. There's like 2 small municipalities in the state of Pennsylvania. Federal government's not rated AAA. So the insurance gets you to the AA.
So the presentation that you had given last time, it kind of set up 2 options, right? Like
Yes.
one where we'd save about $1 million and the payments were different than the other option where we'd save less. But I think the payments were steady. That's how it worked out. So
Yeah,
this is the one where,
Same, no change. All we do is reduce the interest rate.
okay.
So we're gonna leave everything exactly the same, that same payment schedule. We're not gonna backload it or anything, leave it exactly the same, lower the interest cost, and then the differential is your savings. I had thought, I thought that was $1 million, maybe I misspoke.
It is.
Okay,
It is.
okay. I thought you were saying that the other one was the one that had $1 million.
No.
This
No, but
matches
there-
what our MMO would be paying each year, only we're paying.
Yeah,
the collector rate.
I'm sorry, 909, that's right, yes. So we're not changing anything, all we're gonna do is lower your interest cost from 7.5 to, roughly 3.
Am I wrong? So there weren't two options?
There were, no,
There were two options,
there
and
were
we're
two.
going with the one.
The other one was, because if the bond is, you can do whatever you want. We thought the most prudent thing to do was to match the current schedule, leave the pay down the same way, because if you recall that pay down, your payment decreases over time. So you pay your highest over the next 3 years, and it starts to decrease and decrease. So that gives you the benefit of, we don't know what's gonna happen with the pension fund, we're not pension advisors, but if we leave everything the same, if for whatever reason, your MMO payment goes up because of the performance of current investments, you have room in the budget to pay that. So we haven't altered anything, all we did was lower the cost. It's the most conservative structure to choose, but it is your option on which way you want the structure. That's what we presented to Standard & Poor's. They liked that structure, they thought that was very prudent, so, but you could change it if you wanted to.
I like it.
Any other questions? Roll call?
McKnight,
Aye.
Myers. Roa.
Aye.
Vogel. Kinder.
Aye. New business, Marion?
Yeah, I'll give it. Thank you.
Great, so you have an ordinance before you on first and second reading, amending Article 741, parades and public assemblies. For context, at last year's council meeting, the council had voted in a new policy for parades and public assembly permits. The ordinance has been updated here to reflect those changes, and primarily those changes consisted of the time frame which entities had to submit permits. We're asking a 30-day in advance of the date of the event, 2 weeks minimum to accept the permit, and also this incorporated the insurance requirements on those entities. So again, this ordinance just reflects those changes council had passed previously via policy.
Right.
Motion on the first reading.
Motion?
Can I get a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I have a couple of questions. I'm looking at 71405 and 71406. In the case of 71405, filing time for the First Amendment related activities, not less than 4 and more than 60 days. But in 71406, the city has up to 5 days to consult, which would make it, the consulting would come after the event was scheduled. Shouldn't that be coordinated a little bit differently?
With First Amendment activities, it's not subject to, we have no choice but to approve. We can't deny a First Amendment activity.
Okay, so 71406 does not
Correct.
apply in that case. Okay.
Just, can you expand on the First Amendment activity?
So a First Amendment activity would be anything covered by the First Amendment. So a protest, anything related to free speech, anything of that nature. We do ask, and if people will reach out and say that they want to hold a march or a protest, we do ask them to complete the application just so we can share it with our emergency services so that they're aware of what's going on and they can be prepared. But they're under the law, we cannot charge for it and we cannot deny it.
And it also, we don't, it's not subject to I think it was
Fees.
like
yeah,
the
they don't-
insurance and
yeah.
fees and things like
Yeah,
that, the insurance.
we can't hold them to any of that. But it is a very narrow definition, and if someone is claiming First Amendment rights, we do consult with Schaefer before proceeding, so.
The only way we would regulate a First Amendment assembly is to make sure that the public safety is priority.
That brings up a couple other questions. Section 741.14 and 741.15. And correct me if I'm misinterpreting this, a pet parade would have to have an insurance binder and indemnify the city, but the Nazis wouldn't.
Put it like that, Jim.
Under free speech. Under free speech, that's exactly what it's saying.
You would be correct.
Yes, that's correct.
But not because of a choice we're making.
We are bound by the federal government on that one.
Do you want to organize a pet parade, Jim? I'll
No,
talk to you.
but I'm thinking which is more likely to involve a public insurrection between the two and have need for the insurance and indemnification.
And that's where we try to work with them to at least have the information of how many people are expected, what's going to happen, where it's going to be located. So, every permit that we receive gets viewed by the chief of police, the fire chief, and our public works director, so that we can identify any issues ahead of time and try to,
But we can't deny.
but we cannot deny. Unless there's reasonable call for public safety.
That's correct.
Who decides what's reasonable?
It would be Schaefer.
Yeah, it would have to be an extensive review.
So in the case of this, if that was to happen, who would pay for if we had to call in the police for overtime and all, with that being that we can't charge them, that's on the city, am I correct?
Correct.
Let me just clarify that. So we cannot deny First Amendment activities. We can only exercise our police powers. Okay?
But the cost of those police powers would fall on the city.
But just to be clear, the ordinance that's in front of us, it just aligns with the policy that we adopted. There
That's
would
correct,
be no
yes.
change in terms of like how that would show up or be felt or experienced by folks.
That's correct.
Using
Right.
public.
Yep. And in fact, we are going to send out letters or have sent out letters to everybody last year who submitted a permit, reminding them of the timeframes and insurance requirements.
And there
Yeah.
is language built in there about exigent circumstances, so if you're having issues getting insurance or you're having issues with whatever, we're not gonna deny just to deny, we will work with you, but it's much easier because there is such an extensive review process with the various department heads, and if it's a large scale event, we like to meet with them a couple weeks ahead of time to iron out details. If we're getting a permit 5 days before an event, it makes it a little more difficult to do all of that.
And the insurance is not cheap.
We are, yes,
Didn't we introduce an option where they, for like $95 or like $100, they could purchase?
we were looking at that, and then
That not
when,
happen?
no, when COVID hit, it kind of fizzled out. So,
We can work on revisiting that, but we just haven't had the opportunity to do that.
Probably not the need either, there's not the same
That's right, yeah.
demand. Yeah.
Is a definition of a public assembly, is that anything more than one person?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can't meet your friends. in the time.
Just quickly, I'm just trying to, so 30 days to get a permit. First Amendment protected activity, it's 30 days to get a permit, right? Like if they're gonna march, if they're gonna
It's
stand
4.
in.
they have to submit it at least 4 days.
4 days, okay, because I was gonna ask, sometimes when people are doing,
Yeah.
these type of things have happened very quickly, right? And they are protesting and doing things,
And again, that 4 days, we can't even hold them to that, that's just a courtesy request to so that we can be aware and try to be as prepared as possible.
You were reading my mind. I was just gonna ask if what the penalty was without that, but there isn't. I mean,
Under First Amendment, there is not. Now, if somebody else were to hold an event without a permit, there are penalties
right,
associated.
yeah, I see this. It's that First Amendment it is.
And if there's a likelihood of damage being caused by an event, we could refuse.
Correct.
So if someone wanted a 200,000-pound tank, which would ruin our streets, we can say, no, that's just not going to be part.
There has been circumstances in the past where people have requested to hold events in some of our parks that were just not large enough to sustain, or there wasn't enough parking in the area that could sustain that level of an event that we have denied.
Do we then suggest to them a different venue or a different area?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have, I've connected people with the surrounding townships, all have parks that can accommodate events, so if we're not able to, we try to point them in a direction that can.
And again, if there's any damage or anything, that falls back on the city, am I correct?
In this case, we require an insurance,
With the,
a liability insurance.
with the government or agency, like,
If it's not First Amendment, we require insurance.
but
And
with
what
First Amendment, it would fall back on us
Correct.
also. Okay.
So as part of your effort to align our policies and ordinances.
Yes.
Thank you for doing it.
So for motion for the first reading,
Yeah. I'm-
We're,
yeah, we did, no, I was gonna say roll call.
McKnight.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Roa.
Aye.
Vogel.
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Because now we need a motion for the second reading, correct?
Or first
Yes.
and second, okay.
Yep.
Motion?
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call for the second.
McKnight.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Roa.
Aye.
Vogel.
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Discussion, city council study sessions and subcommittee meetings?
Thank you, Your Honor. So I had asked council previously what they would like to do. There was mention for having additional study sessions and subcommittee meetings. Seems as though a consensus from everybody, including staff, was that the second Wednesday of the month at noon would be reserved for a study session of council, and then the fourth Wednesday of the month at noon would be a subcommittee meeting day on an as-needed basis. So if that is still fine with all of council, just a motion to kind of accept those.
You said you need a motion to accept?
Just- Yep, just a motion to accept that those are the new meeting dates. We'll advertise those meetings per the Sunshine Act, and they will be open to the public. We'll have minutes taken at those meetings as well.
And just to clarify, like study sessions, we don't take action as council, we just.
That's correct.
Are able to work through
Yep.
in a public forum. And subcommittees will be similar. I know.
Correct. We likely will not have Schaefer present at those meetings because no decision-making will happen.
Right.
If for some reason a decision needs to be made, we will invite the attorneys to come.
And you said subcommittee meetings will not have minutes, but the council study sessions will.
Everything will have minutes per the Sunshine Act.
I move to accept these.
Second.
meeting minutes.
Roll call?
McKnight.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Roa.
Aye.
Vogel.
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Discussion March 16th council meeting?
So there will be a number of staff, the city solicitors and Mayor Kinder will be attending a conference on March 16th. Staff proposal is to move that meeting to the following Wednesday, which would be March 23rd, if that's acceptable to council.
That works for me. I will say, it looks like March has an extra Wednesday.
It does.
So
It
we
has
can bump
5.
the
Yep.
subcommittee meeting. Great. Okay. Works for me.
Now, do you want a motion on this also?
Yes.
Can I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Second.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
McKnight,
Aye.
Myers,
Aye.
Roa,
Aye.
Vogel,
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Discussion, Meadville Area Recreational Authority Statement of Revival.
I'll turn this over to Jacqueline.
This happens a lot when authorities expire after 50 years of their lifespan. We've been working with West Mead solicitor Alan Schattinger and then Vernon Township solicitor Jeff Millen on circulating drafts to revive the Mara and to make sure that the mark is good to go. One thing to note on this, the revival date, once it is effective, it's effective on the date that it expired. So this applies retroactively. Any action taken between the expiration and now is valid. So this is just a business matter that we're cleaning up.
So just to piggyback off of that, so July of 2021, the kind of the term of the mark expired, slipped through the cracks a little bit on that. So we're coming to council to ask for a revival of that. As Jacqueline said, it'll be retroactive, so any grants or anything that the mark may apply for will still be good and valid with the revival. And this will be ready for council's formal approval at the next meeting. So this is just a discussion, no action needs to be taken at this time.
This just means it's term of like existence as a body, like
Correct.
as a.
We recently did this with the Market Authority,
Right.
same situation.
Okay.
All right, so you're just asking us to what?
This is just for discussion, just for your awareness. Again, at the next council meeting, that's when you'll be asked to take formal action on approving the revival.
Is this for, it says not exceeding 50 years, are we gonna put a term on that, or are we gonna, like, is there gonna be an actual number of, because it expired here, will it, you know what I mean, what is the next?
So it expired at 50 years. So that'll be the next
Expiration.
deadline, expiration date.
But retroactive to July 1, not to whatever day we do it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the next expiration will be 2071.
And you could always terminate early,
I'll
though.
be
But
here.
And West Mead and Vernon have to go through the same process.
yes.
Anybody else have any questions? Resolution authorizing signatures, cooperation agreement for American Rescue Plan Act administration, City of Meadville and Crawford County.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Meadville authorizing signatures on a cooperation agreement for the American Rescue Plan Act Local Fiscal Recovery Funds Administration between the City of Meadville and Crawford County.
So moved.
I second.
Discussion?
So this is very similar to the agreement the city has with the county for the CDBG funds. This would be, the county recently hired a ARPA administrator. So we would be contracting out with the county to make sure that the city is in compliance with any expenditures of ARPA funds, as well as monitoring and reporting. Now, by signing this contract, it does not mean the city must utilize the county services. This is a just in case something becomes too complicated for city staff to handle in the monitoring and reporting process.
So until then, we'll be handling it.
That's correct. The first reporting date is the end of April of this year. We haven't expended any funds at this point, correct? So reporting is pretty simple. It'll be as we start to expend those funds, if council selects a project, for example, or if we continue to do budget support with the use of ARPA funds. It just depends on how council moves forward with expending those funds.
So I'll share that I did talk to Marianne, because one of the priorities of this council, is a participatory budgeting process around the, next allocation of American Rescue Plan Act funds. And Marianne assured me that, right, that we'll still have the kind of control in terms of like what those projects are and what kind of process we want to embark on to figure out, right, how we're gonna use this money, but that it's actually the doling out of money and then the reporting on that later that we could use the county for if we need to. Is that right?
So before we use the county though, we'll be notified we're getting ready to use the county, or once it's assigned, it could go without?
We can inform council if that's the request of council, that we'll contract out with the city or actually use them in the contract. We can do that if council wishes.
That would be what I would hope for, right? Like just to know when if we have to use the services and that we're gonna do so.
I'd appreciate it. I think for this round of American Rescue Plan Act funds, I think we want a more active role in the allocation of those, and so knowing like whose hand it's in at what point I think is helpful.
Anybody else?
Agreed.
Any other questions? Roll call.
McKnight,
Aye.
Myers,
Aye.
Roa,
Aye.
Vogel,
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Resolution recognizing Debbie Corle for her services. I always put that R in the wrong place, so.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Meadville recognizing Debbie Corle for her service. Resolved by the Council of the City of Meadville that whereas Debbie Corle has served as a valued employee of the City of Meadville for more than 7 years, having served in a variety of positions since her hire date of September 15, 2014, including Executive Assistant to the City Manager and Assistant City Manager and Grants Administrator. And whereas Ms. Corle has served in critical roles in many city projects in both support and executive capacities, and whereas among these projects have included redevelopment of HP Way Park, enhancement of Cora Clark and Bicentennial Parks, the 2015 website revisions, the Porter Street footbridge rehabilitation, the city's 2018 visit to Sister City Theme, France, and documenting and memorializing that relationship, various intersection and other traffic upgrades, and bringing in millions in grant dollars to fund these efforts. And whereas her administrative assistance and support during many crises, including but not limited to the 2014 passing of Fire Chief Jeannie Hedrick, the ice jam of 2018, and the early days of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic was instrumental in shepherding the city through those difficult times. And whereas Ms. Corle has opted to leave active employment with the City of Meadville on February 4th, 2022, and whereas Ms. Corle has performed the duties of her office with dedication, thoughtfulness, and accuracy. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Meadville that Debbie Corle is hereby commended for her years of loyal and dedicated service to this community and its citizens. Be it further resolved by the City Council of the City of Meadville that the best wishes of the city are extended to Ms. Corle for every success in the future.
I would move to adopt.
Second.
Some discussion? I just want to thank Debbie for her time here and wish her the best on moving forward and in her new position. Roll call.
McKnight,
Aye.
Myers,
Aye.
Roa,
Aye.
Vogel,
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Resolution recognizing Frank Dudo upon his retirement.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Meadville recognizing Frank Duda upon his retirement. Resolved by the Council of the City of Meadville that whereas Frank Duda has served as a valued employee of the City of Meadville for a total of 20 years, 14 of which he has served as Executive Director of the Meadville Area Sewer Authority. And whereas Mr. Duda opted to retire from his position as Executive Director of the Meadville Area Sewer Authority effective February 22nd, 2022. And whereas Mr. Duda has performed the duties of his office with dedication, thoughtfulness, and accuracy. And whereas Mr. Duda has elected to fully retire from active employment with the City of Meadville and will be sorely missed by his co-workers. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Meadville that Frank Duda is hereby commended for his many years of loyal and dedicated service to his community and its citizens. Be it further resolved by the City Council of the City of Meadville that the best wishes of the city are extended to Mr. Duda for every success in the future.
Motion?
Second?
Discussion?
Thanks for your service.
Yeah, again, I'd like to thank him for his service. It's a lot of years to work in one place, and I hope he has a wonderful retirement. And I think he's having a retirement party, correct?
He is. So this Friday, the MASA board has thrown him a retirement party at the Westmead Township building, beginning at 3.
Makes sense.
Right, roll call.
McKnight.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Roa.
Aye.
Vogel.
Aye.
Kinder.
Aye. Council member statements?
Your Honor,
Yeah.
do you want to take?
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. I think that I get to going down through here because I'm not used to it yet, so I do apologize. Let us have, well, there's Paul Pelk, and we'll go with Paul first, MLK side. Is that okay?
That's perfect.
Hi, Council. My name's Paul Pelk. See a little information on me. I'm the local United Steelworkers president here in Meadville. I represent Channel Lock, Meadville Forge, and Grady Foundry. It used to be Advanced Cast. So I've been a steelworker there. I've worked at Grady Foundry for 25 years now. So I'm just starting to get a little more active in the community as the new president of the local here. One thing I've seen on TV is Reverend Gary Manning and his Martin Luther King sign. It kind of touched me a little bit, so I reached out to him and wanted to find out where we're at with that, and I wanted to make my presence known here at City Council to see what I could do personally to help this get done. If there's anything, I don't know if there's a holdup, but I'd like to see it get completed, and on this end of the union's end, I'd like to see what we can do to help get this sign put up. So any thoughts of what needs to get done to get it completed, that would be great to know. And then future from there too, there's some Heidi Cooper stuff going on too. I think we want to get involved, try to get involved a little bit with that also. I look forward to setting up some meetings with the city manager, some of the rest of the council members here. Yeah, if you want to invite me to some of the meetings there, I'd like to get involved in some of the planning meetings for some of that and seeing what we can do. We employ almost 700 employees from the 3 shops, so, and that's a lot of Meadville. That's 3 big places here in Meadville that people have been working at for quite a while, so just want to get our workers involved, or their union members, and see what I can do. See what we can do to help make Meadville better. That's what we need to.
Paul, the last I spoke with Gary, he was waiting to hear back from the city as far as what was going on with the sign. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't.
That's the last I heard too, was he waiting for the city to see what was going on with the sign, because I had mentioned to him, hey, look, I need to know where we're at, and I heard the city was gonna take it over, and I just didn't know if there was any holdups that, as the steelworker, the president of the union, I could do to help.
I
Get
think
this.
we're waiting for some information. Is that correct, or Gary?
The last communication that I'd had with him was, I think it was in October, it was an email exchange asking for specifics on how it was going to be installed, a little more information on that. But the bigger thing was making sure that we had copyright for the content on the sign, that we had copyright permission to use that information.
And when I talked to him last, you can check the legal on this, but that due to its educational, the copyright wouldn't. If you're putting it out there for profit, then it would. There would be a copyright infringement. There would be something on it that would be illegal, that would bind the city legal. But because it's for educational purposes, there was copyright that needed to be set off. But check on that. That's the last I've heard from talking with him himself. maybe talk to.
You will have to check with our solicitor on that. see what
I
they-
like to stay involved with this project here and see, like I said, if there's anything I can do on this end, and future projects here in Meadville to get, to be invited to some of the sit downs, the brainstorming, whatnot.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah,
So-
can we add this sign to like a work session, like an upcoming study session?
We can, we need to check on our end first before it's worth kind of having council discuss. We need to be able to bring you the information, but we can add it once we have that fleshed
I'm
out.
confused. What is the hangup or what stopped things? Because the last I understood was Gary had spoken and given information regarding the copyright, that it was not a copyright infringement. And since then, you know, this is what I'm being told. Then you're saying no. I don't know what's going on. That's what I want to know. Where are we at, and what do we have to do to rectify it? Because it's, in my opinion, it's been long enough. I feel this should have been done sooner.
The last I'd heard, last I knew, and I'm going off of 6 months memory here, is that we hadn't received information exactly where it came from, and we needed to know where it came from to be able to be sure that we had the copyright, the right to use that information on the sign, and we needed our solicitor to sign off on it. And if they did, then we can work through the rest as far as installation. That's not as big a deal. But the bigger deal was the copyright, because we didn't want to infringe on anything.
So I guess that's kind of the thought in terms of putting it on a work session. Sorry. Putting it on a work session in terms of like inviting Reverend Manning, right, and like just like, okay, where things stand,
Some
right,
resolution,
and just try and get
it done, yeah.
to where we are. I don't know if there's
I'd like to see
value
it
in
forward.
doing
I think it's
that.
a good thing here in Meadville. I learned a lot, just like I said, just in a little bit. About second district school that I attended when I was a kid.
So I don't know, like if you'd want to work towards a conversation on that date, or if it's easier to just do it on your own.
We can have it as a work session.
I'm not
And invite you and Reverend Manning so that
Also,
we can
with
get on the same page.
Chief Cop now, talk is Roseanne.
Oh, yeah.
She's from the Northwest Pennsylvania Area Labor Federation. She's the director there, and she's kind of worked with me with this a little bit. So I can, you can hit on some stuff I may have missed there too. Like,
Just so you know, we're a district level of the AFL-CIO, and Paul is one of our board members and one of the presidents of one of our affiliates. And so he brought to my attention about Reverend Manning's interview on TV and shared with me some information. And we met together to see if we could determine what could be the problem. And when we spoke, he shared with us that he changed the image, that they found a public domain image to replace the original one. And so that should have eliminated one problem for you guys. And that he's quoting something that Martin Luther King said, and you're correct, but he gave tribute to where it came from on the sign. I did a small article in our newsletter letting our members know about it. And my particular chairman in charge of our organization, he thought the sign was so beautifully done that we should duplicate that in other areas of our state. Martin Luther King did a lot for all working people.
Yeah.
And an honorary tribute like this, we just don't understand how it can't be placed. You know, if the verbiage is an issue, I don't understand why. I've seen this in many articles in newspapers over the years, and if they can put it in a newspaper, why can't he put it on a sign that is educational and intended to be placed in a place that's prominent with significance to Martin Luther King? Because as he explained to us, which neither of us knew at the time, is that that school was one of the first for desegregation in your area. And so it'd be really appropriate to have it there. So I just want to know what we can do to help you get it there as soon as possible.
So So Roseanne and Paul, I want you to know that nobody here is opposed to that sign, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're all for it, right?
We're just like, hey, we'll start a
Yeah,
committee tomorrow if
absolutely.
you want, we'll get together with some people whenever, and let's say,
Yeah,
what's the
we'll do-
roadblocks, we
I'm
can
not
help you get
saying-
through them.
Yeah, no, and
that's all what we're looking- yeah.
obviously, I mean, very
Yeah.
obviously, we know, like, you know, the benefits of what Dr. Martin Luther King did and the civil rights movement, and, we're sitting here, right, as a testament to that, right?
Exactly.
And I want to say, personally, I appreciate you guys coming, being a part of this, and showing your support for that, right? So, we're gonna do all that we can, you know, this is a new council, and I don't think the old council was opposed to it, right? And it just sounds like maybe there was some communication where, you know, one thought we were one way, one thought we were at a different place, and then time passes, right? I was at those meetings, right? And I got to see where we were. I obviously wasn't privy to email threads and everything like that, but we are happy to work through it, right? Like, and get this done and make sure that Meadville has something like this. This is not.
It's illegal too, I can get a hold of International to Pittsburgh, and I can get a hold of our Civil Human Rights Committee there and our lawyers down there to get something. And if, I mean, even that's, like I said, that's how where I'm at.
Right.
This is how far I'll take this, wherever you, just tell me what you guys need. It's kind of where I'm
Exactly,
at.
that's
And
where
it's the
we're
same here, and I'll make some calls, I'll get, you know,
Hey, we'll-
Right,
I'll make sure we get a
absolutely.
little,
So I
whatever it
think,
may be.
again, the first thing is opening our lines of communication again, making sure we're moving forward correctly. We need our solicitor, just to double check, because that's the red tape in being a city, right? Like we have to have that, right? And again, nobody's opposed to it, it's just time has passed, right? So, we'll get working on it. I mean, that's what we can say. You guys brought it up, and I truly appreciate you guys being here and supporting it out of the blue, right, to us. You're here to citizens, to people from Meadville, and you're voicing, you know, your concerns and what you support. That's what our government is here for, to listen and to be transparent, and, you know, we're for it. And, we're just gonna get it done, right? We're gonna work through it and get it done in a timely manner, like we can, and we will keep you posted. And I do have some of your information, but maybe, you know, well, I will give you my card, you can email me your information, right? And we can let you know when there's the work session or where it's going, and keep you informed, and if we need help, we know where to go, right? I just want you to know that we appreciate your time and that you came here, and we'd love to see your faces here,
That's the
right,
one thing,
every time.
just offer our time and
Yeah.
anything that we
Yeah.
can. So I know sometimes this can get overwhelming, right?
We need
I
to
know
set the record
President
straight.
here, there's got a lot of work sometimes, and
We
sometimes.
need to set the
it's
record straight. It is not the city that questioned the copyright of images or anything else. The city has nothing to do with that. That was brought up by whomever owns the copyright. So the fault is not with the city on that issue. And so the solution for that issue is not with the city.
So the copyright person came out into the city and said something?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay, that's what I
We've never had any
misunderstood you.
contact with copyright people. Reverend Manning was one that said there was a problem with copyright. So
Okay.
the ball is in his court, and if he has fixed that issue, then by all means, he should finish the sign, and we're glad to put it in. But it's not that we are stalling. We said, go for it. We have a place down there for it.
Okay. Okay.
And again, we'll move forward, and we love to see things like that. You're right, it's beautiful, right? It's-
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful sign. I've seen it, and it, you know, he's got great ideas. And that's why we're so excited, because they seem such a beautiful sign, such a good tribute. And we'll do whatever we
History.
can do to help you.
Some history of Meadville here.
Right, and a lot of people don't know the history,
Yeah.
some of the history. So
Yeah.
again, I
History and
appreciate
stuff.
it, and thank you for coming. And again, I'd like to see you here, and we'll keep you posted, right? Before you leave, let me get you my card, and we'll go from there, okay?
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for coming,
I
guys.
do appreciate it.
I do appreciate you guys. Okay, council member statements?
I guess my council member statement would be to thank you guys for your passion, especially with this. I really appreciate that. I think you actually, by showing up today, did what is needed. You know, I think because we were all kind of feeling that, like, we got to get on this. And I think that, you know, because it is easy to have things just slide away. And so just thank you so much.
Jim, you want to go next?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Yeah, I echo Gretchen's thanks. It's great to see you both. Thanks for being here. I'm debating reading as an ode to Debbie Corle. The only beef I have with Debbie Corle is that one time she beat me in a limerick contest for the French Creek Valley Conservancy, and I won't read it, but just find it on their Facebook. And is historically charged, and Debbie is creative and a historian, and I appreciate the service that she's given to the city in her time here. Also want to, I had office hours on Monday, and it was just a great time. And Gretchen and I, we had a virtual meeting and learned about participatory budgeting, and then we met with Shannon and Kristen to talk about beautification committee and what might be for the future of the committee. And then a resident came in to get a map of waterways, and Katie was helpful in finding like a map of like streams in Meadville. And it's very weird, but it was very beautiful, and it was really great, and it made me really happy to serve on council. So Monday's 11 to 1. It's a party now, and so everyone's welcome. But it was a really great day, and just felt like a kind of a beautiful, like, this is what it can be. This is what it can be to be a public servant. And I think, hopefully, if all goes according to plan, last point I'll make, next time we may be joined by some Girl Scouts who might lead us in the pledge, but we'll see the actually impact of it. So might have special.
They're selling cookies, right?
Wait, is it the season? If we're okay with solicitation, maybe they can set up a little booth outside or something.
Just make a donation.
All right, anyway, that's all I got, thanks. Larry.
I'd just like to thank Paul and those that came with him and Victoria. The town looks beautiful. Keep up the good work. And just to thank everyone for being here, for the work you guys have done. I'm looking forward to moving and seeing Meadville grow. This is a good indication when we've got AFL-CIO, steelworkers, you know, it's showing that people care, that they want to see Meadville grow and become a better place. And I just want to thank everybody that's here.
And I guess I'd just like to thank everybody again for coming. Thank Frank and Debbie for their service. I'd like to make it a point to say that we want our citizens here to tell us what is important to them, so that we can work on those things. Everyone in this room works very hard, and they are working for Meadville, with Meadville in the forefront and the citizens here, right? There's a lot of work being done behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know, and the people at these tables are doing such good work. They're doing a lot of work, and they're doing good work. So if a couple things get fall through the cracks, or people feel, you know, as they're being, or falling through the cracks, it's great to have citizens come and maybe remind us and let us know that these are the important things. And anytime we're working towards equality or showing that that is what we care about, right? That everyone here is a valued citizen, and that should be in the forefront also, right? Like, everybody here matters, everybody is valued, and Meadville is a better place for the diversity that's here. So we want to make sure that we are showcasing that and working towards that to make people feel safe and comfortable, and that they are welcome here. Diversity is a strength, and we are going to put that in the forefront of our decisions, our people, our city, and our community. So at that, I am going to move to adjourn our meeting.
Motion?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
McKnight,
Aye.
Myers,
Aye.
Roa,
Aye.
Vogel,
Hi.
Kinder.